throat is sore because I am not used to the climate here in Tucson. Like he mentioned, I am from Puerto Rico, so I'm used to the humidity, which we don't have here. So that's why my throat is not behaving that well. So, officially, good evening. My name is Valerie Madera-Garcia. I'm a third-year PhD student in epidemiology at the College of Public Health. And today I will be talking about mosquitoes in the sewer, dengue in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. During this talk, I will be covering information about dengue, Aedes aegypti, septic tanks, Hurricane Maria, and our research. But before we begin this journey, how many of you are here because you actually are interested in mosquitoes? Oh, that's super nice. I thought everybody just came for the beer. But just grab a beer because it's gonna be a long but interesting talk. Okay, as an introduction, it is important to define what is a vector-borne disease. A vector-borne disease is a parasitic viral or bacterial disease spread by blood-sucking insects through feeding activity. An example of a vector will be a mosquito. To put into context these diseases, I'm going to provide two famous examples. The first one is malaria, which is a parasitic disease transmitted by mosquitoes. In 2016, over 210 million cases and 445,000 deaths were reported worldwide. 91% of these deaths occur in the African region. On the other hand, when a mosquito feeds from a bird, it can get infected with West Nile virus. Approximately 2,100 cases and 146 deaths were reported nationally here in the United States. A total of 111 cases happened here in Arizona. Now that I gave you an overview and some examples of vector-borne diseases, it is time for me to talk about dengue. Dengue virus is an arbovirus that can be presented in 4 different types: dengue virus 1, 2, 3, and 4. The transmission of dengue occurs by the bite of infected mosquitoes of the genus Aedes, principally Aedes aegypti. Most dengue virus infections are presented as a painful and bone breaker fever called dengue virus fever. However, in some cases, can be presented as dengue hemorrhagic fever, which can be fatal. Worldwide, dengue causes about 390 million infections per year, with approximately 20,000 deaths occurring from dengue hemorrhagic fever. The World Health Organization reported that over the last 50 years, the incidence of dengue has increased by a 30-fold. The occurrence of dengue virus is higher in more than 100 countries in tropical and subtropical areas of the world. Unfortunately, there is no commercial vaccine available. Also, immunity after one infection is not possible. As I mentioned before, it can be presented in 4 different types, which means that you can get infected up to 4 times. But how a beautiful and tiny creature, as a mosquito, can make us sick? Well, it all starts with what I like to think is called love at first flight. A male and a female mosquito, they fall in love. After dating for a while, they decided that it is time to mate. Then, the female mosquito needs a blood meal to successfully achieve the maturation of her eggs. When she feeds from an infected human with dengue virus, then she gets infected, but she needs to survive the infection for 14 days before she is capable of transmitting the virus to a new host. There are 3 important things that I have to mention here. Once the female mosquito gets infected, she will remain infected for the rest of her life. Also, the transmission of the virus from the mosquito to humans occurs through the saliva. When she is feeding from a human being, she uses what is called the proboscis, which is the mouth part that allows her to suck blood. While doing that, she secretes saliva to help with the coagulation of blood and make it easy for her to feed. And last but not less important, males feed from sugar, which means that mosquitoes can function as pollinators. Aside from feeding from sugar, the only other thing that they do is reproduction. So overall, from an entomological perspective, males are useless. Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna laugh about that, but that was good. Okay, as Puerto Ricans, we like to say, I live where you vacation. And we're right, because Puerto Rico is a paradise located in the Caribbean Sea. The weather makes this place an eternal summer. We're used to go to the beach every day, to enjoy the beauty of the most breathtaking rainforest, and to get bitten by mosquitoes every single day. Dengue in Puerto Rico is endemic, which means that you can get infected all year around. Puerto Rico has been suffering from several epidemics of dengue since 1963. And you might be wondering, well, what is an epidemic? An epidemic is when the occurrence of dengue exceeds the expected number of cases in a period of time. There have been 5 major epidemics in Puerto Rico. But before we start, let me say that this line, the red line, is the epidemic threshold, which means that that's the amount of cases above what is considered normal in Puerto Rico. That goes from 3,000 to 9,000 cases per year. The first epidemic registered in Puerto Rico was in 1994 with 24,700 suspected cases reported. After that, 3 subsequent epidemics occurred in 1998, 2004, and 2010. From 2012 and 2013, Puerto Rico experienced the worst epidemic of dengue ever recorded. A total of 29,386 suspected cases were reported. Things were normal for a while until 2016, when chikungunya and Zika spread across the island. I don't know how many of you are aware of the TV series Game of Thrones, but basically, dengue was Robert Baratheon, and Zika was Joffrey Lannister. So Zika virus took away the throne from dengue. In 2016, approximately 37,000 suspected cases of Zika were reported. However, in 2017, there was a significant decline in the cases of all 3 vector-borne diseases, including dengue. And dengue reached its lowest levels of 10 confirmed cases during that whole year. But none of this could happen if it wasn't for Aedes aegypti, that beautiful creature that I'm showing you and pointing you in that picture. From all the mosquitoes that are out there, trust me, Aedes aegypti is the most beautiful one. The other ones are ugly. So Aedes aegypti is a day-biting mosquito that feeds and rests in environments near humans. Also, it was known to breed in stored fresh and clean water only. And it was known to be found exclusively in tires, water storage containers, and tree cavities. Until one day, when researchers found that some septic tanks in the southeastern of Puerto Rico were producing up to 18,000 Aedes aegypti mosquitoes per day. And on top of that, these mosquitoes were larger and reproduced faster than those breeding from surface containers. So if you look at this picture, each of one of those brownish dots that you see, all of those are mosquitoes. Fascinating, right? This became a concern because there are about 600,000 registered septic tanks located in suburban and rural areas of Puerto Rico, which we don't know if they're broken or unsealed. This represents a potential to maintain dengue transmission during dry season and also to sustain the island-wide endemicity of dengue virus. This was not a public health priority until last year. Announced by its strong winds, Hurricane Maria made entrance to the main island and devoured everything on her path on September 20th, 2017. A catastrophic Category 5 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 170 miles per hour made landfall near Yabucoa, Puerto Rico at 6:15 a.m. For more than 12 hours, Puerto Rico received more than 30 inches of rain. The places known to be safe ended up being wiped out by the wind and flooding. As shown in this graph, the cases of all three vector-borne diseases, including dengue, dropped after Hurricane Maria. This can be expected because the population of Aedes aegypti must have been killed by the wind and the excessive amount of water. Also, after Hurricane Maria, the healthcare system of Puerto Rico totally collapsed. So we don't know how many cases of dengue happened, but they were never reported. It is well known for mosquitoes to bounce back to normal population numbers, causing a drastically increase of dengue cases after natural disasters. However, this is not the case. The last reports of the surveillance system of vector-borne diseases of Puerto Rico have shown that since September 20th, 2017, there have not been a single confirmed case of dengue in Puerto Rico. So, after seeing those results, I asked myself, can it be possible that the 1,003 cavities that disappeared after the hurricane were the ones sustaining the endemic transmission of dengue? I went back there shortly after the hurricane, and there were mosquitoes everywhere, more than normal, I should say. We know that before the hurricane, there were thousands of them breeding from septic tanks. But what is the reproduction rate after a possible structural damage and prolonged overflooding of septic tanks due to the hurricane? Is it possible that now that there might be more septic tanks unsealed and broken, available for mosquitoes to breed in, the mosquitoes are unable to transmit dengue because they're different? Hence the reason of why I'm here today talking about mosquitoes. My research will take place in Puerto Rico. My first project aims to characterize septic tanks as Aedes aegypti habitat by monitoring the temperature, humidity, and water quality inside the tanks. This way, we can determine in what environmental conditions Aedes aegypti is breeding in and why they are favoring septic tanks as breeding sites over clean water containers on the surface. Consequently, I aim to discover if mosquitoes breeding in septic tanks represent a risk for the population's health by studying their ability to transmit dengue, also known as vector confidence. In here, I will use some samples of pig blood to prepare a blood meal containing dengue virus. Then, I will orally challenge female mosquitoes collected from septic tanks with the infectious blood meal. Those that survive after 14 days will be kindly placed inside of a freezer because the cold can be used as anesthesia. After that, I will take them to the lab where I'm gonna collect their saliva. Then, I will give them a trip back to the freezer and I will let them there until they freeze to death. Once they do that, I will remove their midgut, aka their stomach, and their legs to test for the presence of dengue on their bodies. Finally, the saliva samples that I collected will be processed in the lab to determine if these mosquitoes can transmit dengue. Next, I will develop a mathematical prediction model to calculate the number of cases to be expected among those communities using septic tanks, based on ecological and biological characteristics of mosquitoes, such as vector confidence, human host availability, the environmental conditions inside septic tanks, which I'll be monitoring, and the weather data from Puerto Rico, such as rainfall. This model will guide public health officials to improve their interventions and vector control strategies, both under the typical environmental conditions and the worst-case scenario, hurricanes. Finally, I will perform the first spatial analysis to identify the hotspots of dengue in Puerto Rico by creating maps that would include information about the locations of septic tanks, areas at risk of flooding, and place of residence of confirmed cases of dengue. These maps will help identify areas at risk of clustering of cases based on having a septic tank in your backyard or in your neighborhood. But right now you might be wondering, why am I still here hearing at this mosquito lady talking a lot about mosquitoes? Well, this is actually important because hurricanes, septic tanks, dengue, and mosquitoes are not unique of Puerto Rico. Actually, nearly 3/4 of households in low-income countries use septic tanks. Also, we promote the construction of septic tanks in low-income countries where nearly 1 billion people practice open defecation, but they also have other vector-borne diseases, such as malaria, which can be deadly. However, do we stop to think if these structures are built properly, or if they are capable of withstand heavy rainfall and storm winds? Are we fixing one problem by water sanitation, but at the same time are we creating another one by providing mosquitoes an alternative breeding site? But let's not go that far. Here in the United States, there are approximately 60 million people using septic tanks in their households, especially in New Hampshire, Maine, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Kentucky. The climate is changing. The population of mosquitoes is increasing every year, and the risk of suffering from a natural disaster becomes evident. My research will help understand if septic tanks are contributing to the transmission of dengue and other vector-borne diseases in Puerto Rico and around the world. My goal is to provide meaningful information to guide relief efforts, to prevent vector-borne diseases, to improve vector control strategies, and finally, to evaluate the environmental sustainability of septic tanks. So far, I have mentioned everything that I want to do, and it seems complicated and extensive, because it is. My projects will take me 2 full years to be completed. However, I have been preparing for this. I started by completing an internship with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Dengue branch, located in San Juan, Puerto Rico. By working with their entomology unit, I learned how to breed my own Aedes aegypti mosquitoes, how to feed them, but sadly, also I learned how to kill them. I learned about mosquitoes breeding in septic tanks, and I have the opportunity to go to the field and go house by house, collecting mosquitoes from septic tanks. After endless hours in the lab, I learned how to remove their midgut, how to remove their legs. It's hard, but I did it. I hold the record of 14 out of 62, so I think I'm good. And finally, I had the opportunity to work with dengue virus samples and ran some serological tests. At the U of A, I have taken classes about geographical information systems and prediction modeling, which provided me the skill sets to do the spatial analysis and to develop the model. I also declared a minor in entomology and insect sciences, where I learned a lot about ecology and biology of Aedes aegypti. As it was mentioned before, I have a master's in public health with concentration in environmental health, which prepared me to do the to measure the environmental conditions inside septic tanks. And finally, to be able to pursue this project, I changed my PhD major from environmental health sciences to epidemiology. After the hurricane, I figured that Puerto Rico doesn't need people telling them that your water is safe to drink or your air is clean. They need people to keep them safe from infectious diseases, especially those ones transmitted by mosquitoes, before, during, and after natural disasters. If you ask me what motivates me, well, my motivation is my home. But ultimately, I will not do this only for them. I want to keep you, your family, and a lot of people around the world safe from painful and sometimes deadly vector-borne diseases. I would like to thank the Melanie Zuckerman College of Public Health for allowing me to be in their program. To my faculty advisor, Dr. Casey Ernst, for her unconditional support to do my research back home. From the CDC Dengue branch, I would like to thank Dr. Roberto Barrera and Dr. Ryan Heaney for helping me find my passion, vector-borne diseases. And I would like to thank both the Agnes Nell Tarry Program and the Carson Scholarship for helping me to catapult my research and also to improve my communication skills. Finally, I would like to thank all of you for being here, and that's it. Thank you. Questions?
Earlier you said you already had mosquitoes in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then how did the dengue get there? Did somebody who had dengue fever come to Puerto Rico, and then your Puerto Rican beautiful mosquitoes got the dengue at that time?
So that's a really good question. The question was like how dengue got to Puerto Rico. And indeed, you're right. It was somebody that traveled somewhere else where the dengue transmission was already endemic. And since Puerto Rico has the perfect climate for the virus to stay inside the mosquitoes and for the mosquitoes to keep transmitting the disease, that's how it became endemic. The same way, that's why chikungunya and Zika, which were brought from Brazil and from Africa, were established their transmission in the island.
But dengue came from Africa too.
Yeah, dengue came a long time ago, 1963. Does any other mammals can carry dengue? Yes. Monkeys can carry dengue. It is the theories about how dengue spread to humans. It was first present in monkeys, and mosquitoes used to feed on monkeys. But then with the urbanization from human beings, we became more available for mosquitoes, and then apparently they like our blood better or something, and that's how they now transmit the disease to humans. But it has been found that some monkeys in Puerto Rico actually have dengue too. Any other questions?
How do you avoid getting it yourself when you're doing your work there?
Well, how do I avoid getting it myself? I think I have a theory. If you are on their side, I love mosquitoes. They don't bite you. So no, but for real, I use mosquito repellent all the time. And when I go to the field, I am required to use long sleeve clothing and to cover every part of my body that mosquitoes can be attracted to.
Did you grow up in Puerto Rico? Could you have had it as a child and had a mild case and not have known it, but yet have one of the, I guess, the 4 times?
Okay, yeah. Yes, I grew up in Puerto Rico, and yes, I suffer from dengue virus too. I got it when I was in college. It is painful.
But
Yes.
you might have had a mild case of the other type?
No. The thing with dengue is, and the other vector-borne diseases, is that they cause a really high fever, so you will know that you have it. And a lot of pain in your joints too, especially in the neck area. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you find that mosquitoes are attracted to certain people more than others? So in other words, do they go after everybody, or is there some aspect of the human that
Do they know if they hate you?
They might. Well, with that, that question was like if they are more attracted to certain humans and why. There are some studies, conflicting results actually, that says that let me back it up. They are attracted to CO2 that we produce. However, there are some studies that have proven that they are attracted to the pheromones of the humans. Other studies said that is because of the blood type, but we don't know. There's a lot about mosquitoes and how they can perceive humans around them that we don't know.
I used to live on Puerto Rico, but you have such a big coastline. When you live on the coast, is it easier to get it or harder to get dengue?
The question was like, if you're leaving the coast of Puerto Rico, is it easier to get dengue or harder? Actually, the last reports that I looked at, most of the cases of all the vector-borne diseases were reported across the shore of Puerto Rico, the coast. Yeah, but in Puerto Rico, everybody can get it.
Do you have any opinion about or insight into strategies to genetically modify mosquitoes and release them to sort of create a stability collapse? Do you have any opinion about that?
I know that there has been some studies in Brazil. They release a lot of genetically modified mosquitoes. But I like to believe that mosquitoes are really good at evolving. So we might be thinking that we fix the problem, but they're really far away from us. So, but I do not support releasing genetically modified mosquitoes. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you.
This is the beginning of all, and there's other places also. One here?
No.
Which you don't want to do.
No, I don't want to do it. Yeah, I love them. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to get you something else.
Thank you. I'll be back in a second.